my daddy's sister always took us to church. And we started to go into Hillcrest Baptist Church, and then we moved to Greer, and we started going to Washington Baptist. And so after Bible school one year, the pastor said anybody that wasn't saved to come into his office. So he told us, how to receive Jesus, and a few weeks later, I accepted and been a Christian ever since.
And so who was it that invited you to church first?
My Aunt Helen Clayton.
But my grandma always said you need to go to church, and I'm going to say about youth when I started. Then I went there in youth. Well, then after I got high school years, I was back out for years and years. And then when I started dating Nancy, that's when I started back. And from then on, it's been
Basically, for me, it was my wife was saved when she was young, and she always kept trying to get me to go to church. And I had a good neighbor that would invite me, but it's when God put me on my knees that I finally was looking for the reason, and that's when I started going to church. And it wasn't long after that that He put me on my knees again, and I just had to give in to Him, and I accepted the gift He had.
So would it be fair to say that your wife and your neighbors were big in inviting you?
Yep.
All right, so for us as a family, how we got into church, Brother Danny Sigford, when he was saved, he started driving a delivery truck for my parents' auto parts store. And with that, he ended up pastoring Morgan Chapel Baptist Church. And through that connection, we started going to church. And through his preaching, my parents came to know Christ, and then I came to know Christ. And I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for that powerful influence in my family's life and my family's life. And I'm just thankful for the grace of God that He knew what we needed when we needed it, and He put the right person in the right place to tell us about Him. So we praise the Lord for that.
That we didn't go to no church for a long time. I mean, she grew up in church at the park, up in Rossman. But it was a long time our men there was out of church. I guess we was out of church for probably 5 or 6 years. And then we got reunited when we moved back here, come back here. So we was out of church for a long time. So a lot of times, the way I look at that right there, how it says in the Bible that you got to sort of, like teenage years, you might fall away, but you'll always come back, if you growed up into that. So I look at that right there like that right there. If you bring kids up in church, even though they fall away, they will come back.
So I did not grow up in church. I started coming to Big Level Baptist Church with Randy when we started dating in 1987, and I have been here ever since.
So your husband, boyfriend?
My boyfriend at the time, now husband of 34 years.
Invited you to church?
Invited me to church.
Yeah, I grew up in church all my life. And I got out of school and stuff and got out of church for years. Got married and run the streets, I guess, for a long time. And then finally the Lord gave me my daughter, and it kind of wanted me to get her back at church. Mom and Daddy always kept asking me. Finally, I started going. So finally, got back into church, and thought I'd been saved when I was young. But coming to find out, when I got back into church and stuff, I really wasn't saved. And I got saved a couple years ago. Been going to church ever since, trying to live right for my daughter and stuff. And she loves coming to church, So I hope everything's going good, and the Lord's been so good to us now.
Working on this video got me to thinking about how I started going to church when I was in West Virginia, just real small. My family, we didn't go to church any. And there was this guy that used to come by and take me and my sister to church. His name was Pop Draper. And just very few memories of that. And then once we moved to North Carolina, I started going to school, and in the kindergarten class, there was a friend of mine named Brian who started inviting me to church. And so I would go, and I remember, it's funny, I remember as I first come into church, I remember big level to me looked like it was made of gold. I guess the carpet and the pews were all new then, and that was like one of the first memories for me of what the church looked like. But then also, I wasn't the craziest about going to church to start with. Sometimes when Brian would call and ask me to come to church, I would cover the phone up and tell my mom to tell me I couldn't go to church. But anyway, I'm thankful that he did. I started going, and over the years, God worked in my life, and I eventually got saved, and now here I am, 50 years old. I'm thankful for what God done for me and for somebody inviting me to church.